All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is March 13th. We got ourselves a Monday, and we got a few games on the NBA slate to jump into today. Last night's performance, well, we had this many wins and this many losses. Tough night. 0-2 night, but we look to bounce back tonight. We got 7 games on the slate. Like I said, we're going to jump into each and every game. I'll give you my lean on the total, give you my lean on the spread, but my final play is what I'm actually going to be rolling with, and what counts towards the record will be in the pinned comment. Last night is one of those nights that I wish my leans counted and not the final plays, because we go 0-2 with final plays. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comments if you're riding with me or if you are fading me. Again, all those plays will be updated throughout the day in the pinned comment. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. We are on our way to 20,000 subscribers, and if you have not liked the video yet, what are you waiting for? We're only a minute in and you haven't liked the video. Go ahead and smash that like button, guys. We had 300 something plus likes on yesterday's video. Again, another video with 200 plus. Let's see if we can keep that streak going, guys. And I want to say before we get into the picks, I cannot thank you guys enough for the recent support. I know I've said it in a couple different videos as of late, but damn, man, I seriously, sincerely mean that. I cannot thank all the new subscribers, all the new channel members, and all the people that just simply like the video. If you like the video, you're doing your part. The littlest part, but it's an important part, guys. That liking of the video definitely helps it spread to a new audience, everything like that. So I cannot thank you guys enough if you've done any of those 3 things, or if you comment, and I'm recognizing names. I really do thank you guys so much. But let's go ahead and jump into the first game here. We have the Pistons taking on the Pacers. Pistons 3-point dogs at home right now, total at 228. These two teams played just a couple nights back. Indiana won 121-115. They did indeed cover. Then they played in early October and also covered there, 124-115. In their last 10 games, this Pistons team 0-10 straight up. They are 4-6 against the spread, but not playing very good basketball, obviously. Sitting a bunch of guys. I think we know what they may be doing here in terms of, draft seeding and whatnot. But we got the Pacers on the other hand, 7-3 against the spread, 4-1 in their last 5 games at home, but they do have a ton of injuries to note. And I think I'm starting to notice this. I feel like I've seen other people talk about it too, but teams play the Pistons, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we have guys that are injured. Let's sit them out. I don't know if it's true, but here we go. TJ McConnell out. Miles Turner out. Buddy Hield questionable. Tyrese Halliburton out. Benedict Mathurin out. And Kendall Brown out. And then for Detroit, Bogdanovich out. Alec Burks out. Isaiah Stewart out. Jaden Ivey out. We have an absolute trash game on our hands here. I think that I'm going to lean towards the Pistons just because they've played without their starters and whatnot for a few more games than I guess Indiana resting or injured sitting every single person. So I don't think this becomes a final play. This is kind of a crazy game with all these injuries, but I'm going to lean Detroit plus the points. In terms of the total, I like the over here though, especially if a lot of those guys aren't playing. It means there's not going to be a lot of defense in that game. Moving on, we got the Hawks taking on the Timberwolves here. Hawks 5-point favorites at home, total 245.5 right now. They played in late January last year, so we don't have much of a recency history here to look at in terms of them playing. But in their last 10 games, Atlanta 4-6 against the spread. Minnesota also 4-6, but they've been playing well on the road. They're 4-2 against the spread on the road. Rudy Gobert is questionable, so if you are on the Timberwolves side of things, make sure you keep an eye on that. And if you're on the Hawks side of things, Bogdanovich is questionable here. I do think that the Timberwolves can cover this number +5. I don't know how confident I am in it, but I do think that this Hawks team has kind of been a roller coaster right here. They're quite literally in the last 7 games winning in terms of against the spread, covering, not covering, covering, not covering, covering, not covering, covering, not covering. It's kind of a roller coaster ride. So I'm going to lean towards a team that, not that they've been more consistent, but a team that has been a little bit less inconsistent. The Minnesota Timberwolves here, 5 points seems like a decent chunk of change to give them. So I'm going to lean Minnesota here +5. In terms of a total, this one is a very, very high number. I think this one actually sticks probably in the low 230s. So I'm going to lean towards the under here. But in terms of the numbers that I've crunched, that's sort of the number that I'm coming out at. I'm not sure why this one's way, way up there. So obviously both these teams not very defensive and can score 120 on any given night. So I get why it's there. But man, that's a very, very high number. I'm going to lean towards the under. Moving on, we got Dallas taking on the Grizz here. Mavericks 1-point favorites at home, total sitting at 224.5. 1.5. These two teams last played just a couple nights back. Dallas took the loss as 8-point dogs, though, so they did cover here. Memphis 112 to 108 in that game. Earlier in October, Dallas won 137 to 96. In their last 10, though, Dallas on a little bit of a slide here. 3-7 against the spread, 2-5 in their last 7 at home. In their last 11, if we want to even look at it from a bigger perspective, they're 3-8 against the spread. Now, Memphis, on the other hand, not looking too great, right? They have a bunch of crap going on with Ja Morant off the floor. A couple guys ruled out for season. Not looking the best in terms of injuries for them, but you do want to take a peek at the injury report for Dallas. You're wondering, okay, well, if Memphis is, have all these guys out, why is Dallas only 1-point favorites? Kyrie Irving's questionable, and Luka Doncic is out. So that comes into play here. Obviously, I don't see much talent. Well, shouldn't say much talent, but I don't see much happening on the Dallas side of things offensively with those two guys out. So I'm going to lean towards Memphis here. We're going to take the points on the road. And then in terms of the total, 224.5, regardless of who's playing or who's in, I do think that this game goes over here. Memphis has scored 130 and 112 in their last couple games. Dallas has allowed 130, 116, 113, 120, or 112. They're scoring, 120 on any given night as well. They have struggled for the last couple nights. But I think that this game, obviously, they learned about each other just a couple nights back. That finished at 220, if I'm not mistaken, the final score. So, only a 5-point difference here in the spread coming out. So I'm going to lean towards the over in this one. All right, Miami taking on the Jazz. Miami 7.5-point favorites, total 224 in this one. Jordan Clarkson's questionable for Utah. For Miami, Kyle Lowry is actually questionable here. Duncan Robinson is out. Caleb Martin is questionable. Miami been very, very consistent. Utah coming off of 2 straight wins, 3 straight covers. The talent hasn't been there. It was Dallas, Orlando, Charlotte. So I don't want to give them too much credit there, but I do think that this is a very, very big number especially for a Miami team that's actually struggled against the spread, won all season long against the spread on the season. They're 24, 42, and 3. They're not looking too great when it comes to against the spread. So I'm going to lean towards Utah in this game here. They're actually 6-4 against the spread in their last 10, 5-2 on the road in their last 7. So they know how to cover on the road. I'm going to lean towards Utah getting the points here. In terms of the total, 224, another 224.5 here. I do like the over in this one as well. I think that that's kind of a sweet spot number. I know Miami's defense has been playing really, really well just overall, but they're starting to let up a few more points. So they let up 104 to Cleveland, and then 115 to Cleveland, and then 126 to Orlando just a couple of nights ago. And we know Utah's defense is nothing to write home about either. So I like the over in this game. And guys, before we do keep going with this, I do want to ask you guys, if you have not, hit that subscribe button. But if you want to go a step further, go ahead and make sure to become a baller, guys. $2.99 a month. It's one way to support the channel. You also get logos next to your name and emojis you can use in the comment section. But what we do, and I think it distinguishes us from other channels, is that we provide ballers for the NBA season models every single day, guys. So if you do want to become a baller, $2.99 a month. You get a spread and total model that's packaged in one, and then you have player points, rebounds, and assists models. It's all packed in one link you guys get on the regular every single weekday, guys, Monday through Friday, and then sometimes we're even getting it out there on the weekend. So if you do want access to that and to be able to incorporate it in your research, make sure to become a baller. Click the link in the description or click the join button next to the subscribe button here. But let's jump right back into it. We got my Boston Celtics traveling to Houston. Houston 12-point dogs at home here, total 230.5. The Celtics team has been a little questionable as of late, I guess we could say. They went on an absolute gutter of a streak, losing 3 straight, 4 of their last 5, but now they came out with 2 wins here, 2 decently strong wins too, against Portland and Atlanta. They were 9.5-point favorites against Portland. They won that game, obviously covered there. 5-point favorites against Atlanta. They cover there. In terms of injuries, no major or new injuries for Boston. I do think that this game is an example of where a Celtics team probably ends up winning by 12 or more points potentially, but I just think that's way too big of a number to lay. So you guys know I don't like to bet against my home team, the Celtics, but I would say that I'm not really, too keen on laying 12 points as an away team on a team that has been, not to say struggling, but hasn't been as good as they were earlier. So I'm going to stick away from the spread here. In terms of the total, though, 230.5, I do think that this one stays under the number here. These two teams played in Christmas, and it was a 228 total. They played around Christmas, a 228 finish. So I like the under there. Moving on, we got Warriors taking on the Suns. Warriors 4-point favorites, total 237 here. In terms of injuries, Kevin Durant still out for Phoenix. Landry Shamet is out as well. For Golden State, Andrew Wiggins is still out. Draymond's probable. Andre Iguodala is probable. And Gary Payton's still out there. Golden State coming off of that win against Milwaukee. They're 3.5-point favorites. They won the game by 9, so they did indeed cover. Phoenix coming off a loss to Sacramento. That Sacramento team is catching people off guard here. In terms of my lean, I'm going to lean towards Phoenix. I think 4 points is a little bit too much to give. I could see this being a back and forth game, so I'm going to lean towards Phoenix. And then 237, I don't know, seems a little bit too high for me. But I think that line is probably fair based on where these teams have been scoring and letting up points. But I do think that the fact that these two teams, you know, have this good offense means they're both going to come in locked in defensively, if that does make sense, right? Last time they played was late January or mid-January, and they did stick right around this mark. I think this could be a little bit more of a defensive game than we have seen in the past. Now with the Suns, you know, having this reinvigorated feel for the season, Golden State getting Steph back, this may have that sort of, I guess we could call it playoff-y environment where defensive levels are up. All right, last game of the night, we have the Kings taking on the Bucks. Kings getting 1 point at home, total 244.5 in their last 10 games. Kings 7-3 against the spread, 3-2 in their last 5 at home. But the Bucks in the last 5 on the road playing well too, 3-1-1. These two teams played earlier in December. Milwaukee won that game 126-113, which makes sense. I don't think the Kings fully found their stride yet, but I will say this: Giannis is questionable in this game. You're going to want to keep an eye on that if you are on the Bucks side of things, which honestly, as weird as it is, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be sounding the psycho alert alarm, but Giannis hasn't really been playing. He's been ruled out a bunch. I think the Sacramento team can win this game at home. We're getting 1 point. They're playing really good basketball. 8-2 against the spread. 7-3 against the spread in their last 10. 8-2 straight up. They're playing good basketball right now, and they are at home. So I'm going to lean towards Sacramento here. They're a 37-29 team against the spread this season. Definitely some good basketball. Does that become a final play? We shall see. I feel a little risky if Giannis does get ruled in, he does play. All of a sudden, it's like, all right, well, now the Bucks probably are the favorite. But Giannis, he's been inconsistent. And in terms of a total, 244.5. That's way too high for me. I don't know if it becomes a final play, but I like the under there. I could never take an over that high. So in terms of lean, we're looking at the under. But guys, that is all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys do enjoy the video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video as well. And we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.